Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I've got your co-host, Nux Taku Oompa Will, should be here shortly. I think he's just running behind a little bit late. I decided to jump the gun because we have quite a special individual here today, too. Somebody that got access to a story that I was following for a long time. Mike, you just made one of the most banger documentaries on YouTube. Visually, and I thought it was like a Netflix thing, but you know, it's a YouTube stuff. You got a new YouTube channel. How about you tell us all about who you were working with for the last few months?
Yeah, so I was working with Stephen Williams, aka Boogie2988, who, as we see in this documentary, is a very self-deprecating, some would call obese individual that at one point
some would call obese.
Some would call this, you know, who may or may not identify as obese, and everyone has different definitions of obese. But Boogie, you know, as we all know, was one time a beloved internet character who no longer
trending gamer.
Yeah, who no longer is beloved, and now I followed him around roughly on and off for about 9 months, and the documentary shows that. So that's what I did for that period of time of my life.
Hell
so
yeah.
I think the first shot that I have to fire is, how the did you even get involved in this in the first place? What dragged you into this?
Yeah.
What was the inspiration?
Yeah. So I've been running business. I mean, I'm 30, so I started my first business when I was 18. It was like just doing commercials for like local businesses. I shot music videos.
Hell yeah.
I live in like Ohio, so I have this video production company I built. We have like 20, 30 people. We do commercials, and I had done some other YouTube shows and kind of made just like comedy videos here and there that were like parody music videos on this one channel I had. But I always wanted to make, you know, I had some success in business, and that's cool. But I always wanted to make, you know, something that actually added value to the world. Unlike advertising, nobody likes advertising. So I just figured out I will make a video for fun that people might want to see. And I was sitting on YouTube and I watched, I got that Sunny V2 video of that, the Boogie downfall came in my feed, and I was like, dude, this has millions of views. I was trying to figure out what content I should make. I've made tons of documentaries for like corporate clients and things, so I was like, hey, well, what if I just hit this dude up? So I put a list of like 5 or 10 YouTubers together because I figured, hey, like there'd be people on YouTube watching this shit. So I hit up a few people, and Boogie like emailed me back like immediately. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I got to do this now. So we emailed a ton back and forth. He wanted to make sure I wasn't like, you know, trying to dox him or whatever. And then I think we ended up shooting probably a month and a half after our first email, and you know, that's basically how it started.
Damn.
Yeah, because I remember like I had like a public f*** you back and forth with Boogie for like 5 minutes. It was about like landlords and I was on a flight back from Vegas, and he just makes these stupid posts on the internet about like, you know, like these easy dunks that he thinks. And we had a public spat, and then like a couple months later, he like messages me and tells me that he's working on a documentary, or like he's looking for people to interview. And I was like, I don't think you're like, because I didn't know you at the time. I'm like, I don't think your documenter wants me to talk about this, because it's gonna like if because in my mind when I think of it, like every time like stuff like this gets made, there's a story, right? Like you either have a really positive, uplifting story or a really like dark, negative one. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, because if I give this interview to your like interviewer, it's gonna be like, first off, it's gonna paint me in the worst light imaginable, because I'm gonna come across like hater number 9,000, like number one, okay, like immediate. But the other thing is just, I like it was an interesting thing. It was like he almost wanted like the worst possible view of him out in the world, right? Because he was literally communicating, from what I understand, with everyone that had an issue with him, right? Or
yeah,
you know,
I mean, when I hit him up, I have no people. There was all these comments that this is, because you could Google me and find like my companies and shit, and it's like there was these like conspiracy people. They're like, oh, Boogie hired this guy to make this, as if like he could afford some hour-long feature-length like documentary produced for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm like, So I had no incentive to make this anything other than what I thought it should be. So when I hit him up, the first conversation, I'm like, hey, like, if you think this is going to be like a promotional video or like I have no interest, because that's just going to make me look dumb.
Wait, so how much did you put into this documentary?
So I probably spent, just like travel and stuff, probably like 20 grand. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's a documentary, you know. Like if I was charging him, I mean, it would have been substantially more because we weren't charging for me or my team's time, but just hard costs of just like travel and stuff. But outside of that, but no, yeah, that was the agreement from day one. Is like, dude, we have to be kind of trying to make the same thing here. I talked to a lot of other creators, and they would kind of get on the phone with me and it'd be like, oh, let's make it like this, let's paint it this way, and it's basically like, dude, I'm not here to make a marketing video for you. I don't care. It's way too much work. We're either going to make this entertaining and be what the reality is or not. So I would have loved to interview you. I tried to interview Frank Castle. I think I tried to interview a few other people, but everyone thought it was like, because you look at my, like, you know, company or whatever, my email, that it was like some...
Yeah, I don't even remember, like, I don't even think Boogie mentioned your name or anything to me too. He might have, but like usually I'm like always tapping out of the DMs by that point because, you know, it's Boogie after all.
Because it's Boogie.
But, yeah.
Hey.
But like I don't, because I would have looked up your name, and honestly that conspiracy theory probably would have hit my head too. Like knowing
it does sound like something he would do.
Yeah, like pre-COVID, it's like I understand the costs of running a media company myself too. I understand, like, obviously this isn't cheap, right? Like, if the conspiracy was going to come out that he hired you to advertise, I'm like, first off, nobody's got that kind of money. Like, Boogie does not have the kind of money to order that fluff piece. And also, you're not TMZ where, like, this is like a 20-minute drive for you and you can just send somebody, like, you know?
Clip. It's like, we shot for, like, 15 days on and off. Probably 120 days of pure edit. We had travel to, like, other locations for interviews. I mean, it was you know, I approached it like it was going to go on Netflix, just because I'm like, F it, why not? Let's just drop this shit on YouTube and have some fun with it. So,
but it's amazing how cynical people are that they would think that he hired a fluff piece instead of something like this genuinely being made. I remember when Turkey Tom made his documentary about like my drama with V Shoujo, people reached out to me and said, "Hey, I was just wondering, did you ask Turkey Tom to like fluff things? Why would I do something like that? I don't."
Yeah.
But
I well, the thing is, I didn't expect like any fluff piece out of it. So yesterday I watched the whole thing with my wife. Like we were like, all right, let's check it out. I wasn't there for the premiere because it was like 3 p.m. like, and time didn't work. But I saved it for the night, sat down into it, and captured me the entire way through. Okay, so I guess the best way to do this is to like go part by part by part. So obviously you jump into the situation, you come across Boogie. Did you watch his content before you did this documentary? Like, were you like a Boogie fan, or?
I had seen him on some podcasts here and there. I mean, I've always kind of been in the YouTube sphere, so I knew of him, but I'm not like in the lore of like Boogie world. I didn't know anything about like Frank Castle. I just kind of had seen like maybe the Francis clips and some things.
Right.
But yeah, no, I just wanted to start a channel and just was looking for like what lane would make sense to deploy this production ability and what would actually get views. I mean, you see a lot of documentaries, they're good, but they have they don't have a marketable angle. But once I talked to him, it was like, okay, this is actually kind of it. We were like opposite people in every way, me and Boogie, like 100% opposite. And
yo,
so it was just
why
really...
you just gonna compliment yourself like that?
This video is sponsored by our friends over at Aura. Have you ever Googled yourself and you were shocked to see all the personal information exposed on a lot of those public sites available on the internet? Well, that's because there are actually disgusting organizations known as data brokers who make an absolute fortune selling your information to scummy robocallers, spammers, and other people that just want to learn about you. Ladies and gentlemen, Aura can actually identify these data brokers exposing your information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them, but because they're scumbags, they make the process super difficult to do. That's why Aura is there to make sure they get through the process and make sure that your information is kept private, as it should be. Aura does a lot more than just that. They go out of their way to protect you and your family, if you want, from online threats that you have no idea about. Aura is incredibly easy to set up, to the point where you don't even need to get multiple different applications for things like parental controls, VPNs, password management, antivirus, identity theft insurance, and a whole bunch of more things. Aura does the absolute hard work of keeping your online information private and safe, and lets you focus on other tasks at mine. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to figure out how to protect your information and you want to put it in the hands of professionals, go to aura.com/SOP to start your 2-week trial. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the video.
But no, yeah, it was interesting talking to him in that sense.
I mean, but it's interesting. Like when you say you're polar opposites, obviously, like I want to like kind of ask like in what way. I'm not going to get into like the physically obviously, but like work wise, in work ethic even, is that like kind of where we're getting at?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Just like I like the degree of interest he has. Like when I'm down there, he's talking about Magic the Gathering, and like I think a lot of these things, I assumed him to be much more of a kind of a content creator than he is, in the sense of like, no, that's not a hit at him.
Hello.
It's like,
Yo, Caleb, what's up?
I shaved my mustache, sorry.
No, you ruined my favorite YouTuber.
What's up, Mike?
This is Caleb.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
I was just talking shit about Boogie, so I don't know.
So, Caleb, to catch you up, Mike has filmed probably one of the most interesting documentaries I've seen on YouTube at the time. We put the trailer in the chat. That trailer, I thought, when I saw it on Twitter for the first time, like, this is a Netflix documentary. But it's a YouTube video that he made documenting Boogie over the last 9 months. And he's got some exclusive access to Boogie's life, financials, and some of the big bombshells. One that we'll get to, but continue on, Mike, about why you think Boogie wasn't obviously the greatest content creator.
Well, no, he really with Magic the Gathering, and he really with a lot of these like niche hobbies. Like when we were down there, it was like, all right, let's make some content, but like, I didn't realize how much he actually likes a lot of these things and how much of his life is playing video games and talking about Magic cards and having people over his house and going to the Magic shop. Like that was all genuine.
Wait, so that's how he spends his days, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a certain work ethic. I mean, but it's tough to evaluate work ethic in that sense, because when you've been doing something for 15 years, it does look like you put out a lot of body work, but he also has, I think he has more like in real life friends. He has a lot of in real life friends in his city that know him outside of his content creation from Magic. Like when we went to the Magic shop, like he knew like everybody. So it just this type of stuff he was interested in, I was interested in. Like it was definitely like just way different.
See, like the thing about it is, it's like the way that you're painting it is like you went there and like on a day-to-day basis, like the way that I spend my days, and I'm not like a full-time content creator. Like honestly, nobody here is, because I know Caleb, Nux, and I have our own things on the side, obviously, that I would consider are more primary in terms of like money making in our businesses. That takes up way too much time. But when it comes to like content creation, the best content creators are the ones that are like able to be Jedis with time management. Like you wake up at 6 a.m., you do your shit in the morning, you plan out the rest of your day, and by like 6-7 p.m. you're pretty much done. Like you block everything out. Like you plan everything meticulously, and that's how you're able to succeed. Because one of the big key factors in succeeding on YouTube is not necessarily even the quality of your content, it's the consistency of your content, right? If you're posting regularly, you'll be successful, right? And if you're posting consistently, it's always a big boon in the algorithm, to the viewer, to everyone. And for Boogie, one of the problems is it's like every time he tries to revive his channel, it's like he'll maybe make one video a week or do like one stream a week. He'll constantly fall under his goals and he'll never meet them. And the audience like reflects that. Like nobody's going to want to stick to a content creator that's not, pumping out content, right?
I don't even think it's the consistency of his content. I feel like when it comes to Boogie in general, I don't think he realizes what his content is at any point. I don't think he's ever tried to like one-up himself. I think he had something that worked for him like 10 years ago when he started making videos, and he's still kind of doing the same exact thing and not understanding why it's not performing as well as it did.
Yeah. I think it's a lot simpler. Maybe. I think at some point he was so fat that he was cute, right? He was a cute looking level of fat. Like it's likable fat. And like,
I'm so glad Caleb is here for this. He knows all about this.
Right? And it's like, oh, look he can't be mean. He's so fat. How could that fat?
Little guy.
Now he's just kind of fat, and he also had fucked up teeth. And
He's
fucked up
uncanny
teeth.
fat.
He was almost like Appalachian, like he's a jolly Appalachian fat, like really fat guy.
Yeah.
Now he's got fucking like nice ass teeth, and he's just kind of fat.
Cringe.
And there's also this thing with YouTubers where like when a YouTuber's 30, it's like okay, YouTuber. When a YouTuber's 50, and you could tell that they're trying to still be 30, there's kind of this like inherent cringe to that.
I like seeing 50-year-old people saying, "Oh man, Sniper Wolf's L Riz." That's my favorite
for sure.
thing.
So I think if Boogie still had fucked up teeth and was still extra fat, I think we would all just still he'd be pulling 200-300K a video.
No way. I think you're really boiling it down.
I'm being a little facetious, but also the other thing is this. I don't know how many people in the internet world or any media world that get known as being likable maintain likability for that long, right? Especially when you're doing live streaming. Imagine if Mr. Rogers from way back in the day was live streaming for 3-4 hours a night. Eventually, maybe he's not as nice. We just happen to see him through this very polished.
Dude,
I like this.
Right?
I'm with you 100%, except the ones that have the nice guy reputation, that are actually nice people, keep that nice guy reputation. Like, Markiplier is a pretty beloved character by everyone, right? He has that nice guy vibe, and he's been a nice guy on the internet for a decade, right? So it's not like it's impossible. It's just Boogie doesn't strike me as a nice guy.
I don't think Boogie's, in my view...
I don't think he's a bad guy.
And maybe he was posturing to me because I was working on a project with him, whatever. I don't think the guy is a mean guy. He's just has a lot of dumb ideas. Like, he is a horrible PR manager. I was talking like, dude, if I knew you since 2015, you'd still... I don't know. I'm sure Markiplier's nice or all these people are nice. Boogie is nice. He just has ideas that are dumb that he doesn't not do, right? And he never had any. And I would tell this to him. I think he's genuinely means well most of the time. He just get these things in his head to do, and there's not that like business PR manager to kind of be like, yo, let's not say it like this. Let's say this.
Listen,
Dude,
I think the biggest elephant in the room here is like
Boogie.
this. Okay, that one, but the
I'm
other
sorry,
thing is
I
like
had to. I immediately regret everything.
When we mention Markiplier and all these other characters, right? What is the big difference between Markiplier? Oompaville is a likable guy. I've never seen anybody dislike you. Charlie's a nice guy. Fucking everyone I've ever really talked to that can maintain their personality, it's a pretty nice guy. What's the big fundamental difference between Boogie and all these people? What's the big outlier? Do you guys know?
Skinny.
Everyone here with the fucking fat joke.
I think honestly, it's I don't know. Boogie strikes me. Maybe that's because I didn't know Boogie back when he was actually pulling crazy views. I only know Boogie as the Boogie from today, and he just seems very entitled to success in my eyes.
Uncanny
He
Boogie.
feels.
Yeah.
He
And
feels
listen,
really entitled to everything. Like when he invested all of his money into crypto and ended up losing all of that, and he was like I don't understand why this would have happened. Now please help support me. It was a weird turn, no?
Yeah. I agree. The other thing is, and it's very simple, guys, $200,000 in hookers. That's a big difference, okay? I'm not fucking joking when I say this. Listen, Caleb, how many hookers have you bought in the past 10 years?
None.
Yeah, honestly, none too. I really have to think about
Yeah, no,
Markiplier.
I didn't have to think about it.
Listen, I'll bet $100,000 that Markiplier's probably never engaged in hooker play, okay?
True.
Probably not. Probably not, okay? Listen, there is always a non-zero chance that somebody you know on the internet, dude, the fucking cooking channel I follow, okay, Townsend's the nicest guy in the world, could be doing coke binges every Friday. I wouldn't fucking know. But that's a big fundamental difference. Boogie is involved in hookers. He is the product of his own demise, right? This man, and you look through the financials of it too. So one of the big part of your documentaries was sort of unveiling the money Boogie had. And he showed, I don't know what it was it a crypto wallet or was that his bank accounts where he had $30,000
There's
left?
an extended scene coming out that has the crypto wallet, but we showed the checking account and the savings and the mortgage.
So, but his crypto stuff, and here's the thing: we know the crypto situation. It's not a fucking trade secret. Him and McJuggernuggets were great friends at the time, right? And McJuggernuggets got him allegedly into the crypto bandwagon, and he put in hundreds of thousands of dollars into crypto, right? What was it, 700 or some shit?
Yeah.
Oof.
And all of that money went nowhere, okay? And we know crypto. I know crypto because I've done a million investigations. Caleb knows crypto because he was an ass coin millionaire for 5 minutes. And Nux, you know crypto too because you were pitched
Because
Nux
I
coin.
am an NFT.
Yeah, exactly. But he at his age put all of that money into crypto, and the market trended downwards, and now it's sitting at what, a $30,000 bag that he's afraid to
and
cash
I was
out?
even trying to get him to sell it right there because I'm like, it's just going to keep going down. Sell it, put it in an index fund, or just put it all against your house. I mean, the problem is before he gets certain fixations on certain concepts and certain ideas, and I think the people around him, he's never had that strong business. Behind a lot of YouTubers or just even successful artists, and there is really good business advisors or partners or things, and he's never really had that. So, and that crypto investment, back then, if you were to just be like, hey, put that in the S&P 500, don't buy crypto, let it literally sit and do nothing, he'd have over $1 million.
Yep.
But but the thing is, he looks around at his peers on the internet because I swear to God, he's a 12-year-old at heart. He looks around and sees a bunch of these Logan Paul types who are getting millions of dollars off of NFTs. And as adults, we know that the only reason that they're able to inflate these NFTs or any of these prices because of their popularity. It's not actually worth that. Even Schlatt, I remember he came onto one of our first couple episodes, and he said the exact same thing you did. Put money to the S&P 500, the index funds, right? And by the way, nothing we say constitutes as financial advice. Please hire a financial advisor.
Advice. I am a certified financial advisor.
Yo!
So
You know what? There
Let's
you go.
go.
All right, please.
No, I'm not.
No,
Oh, damn it.
please stop. I was freaked out a minute. I'm like, all right.
We were almost gonna give you a position as a fourth host every episode, just to pop in every once in a while, just this is financial advice.
Guys, do this. This is 100% financial advice. 100%.
No, but the thing is with his situation is he's not he doesn't have the money to do so, and so one of the themes throughout your entire documentary is you've been showing his net worth, his savings constantly go down every time he engages in just frivolously spending the money too, right?
Yeah.
And one of the weirdest expenses is I don't know why he's still attached to the house or a lot of these things. Maybe it's a psychological thing. I'm not a psychiatrist, can't claim to answer it, but his life could easily be solved up if he really downsized, And there's no shame in that. People do it for a million reasons. He could downsize and live very comfortably. That could be so beneficial to his channel if he just moved to a 2-room apartment, because he only needs 1 room to fucking play video games in. If he moved to an apartment, produce content, I think that could actually probably turn his channel around or keep it sustained enough for him to just live out, relatively comfortably, you know?
Yeah, I think this is not just Boogie. I think anyone, almost in any situation, that's complaining about money that makes over $40,000-$50,000 a year, almost always underneath that complaint is some unwillingness to reduce some arbitrary expense that they're obsessed with, that represents some ideal life. Like, oh, well, I couldn't not have, in Netflix, or I couldn't not have whatever.
Well, that's what he said in the video. Is like, I need to buy Diablo 4. I swear to God, verbatim, one of his points, guys, I need to buy this game. I need to buy this. I'm like, dude, you got to be very fucking privileged if you're buying $70 games on a daily. Like, even at the income that I make, I question, like, when I make a $70 purchase. Like, I still do to this day, you know? Like, I'm like, do I need this? It's still a bit expensive. Like, I think everyone who...
I do.
I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that we came from, like, brokey nothing, you know what I mean? Obviously, I think a lot of us lived, lived well, lived comfortably, and even when we came into money, I think there's habits that you have, you know, if you've grown up.
It's hard for anyone, Boogie included, to reduce your living expenses. I mean, it's just, once you get used to a certain, like, imagine him, like, you have this house, you're holding on to it, it's like, the fact that you're going now into this apartment, he does have a roommate. I think he had, by the time we were filming in the second half, he had additional roommate. So, it would be like moving 4 people in. That's the other thing, is like his roommate situation. He doesn't pay rent. This is a part of an extended scene. That was the only person one of the only few people I couldn't interview was the roommate. And looking back, I wish I would have offered money for it, because I'm sure there was a dollar amount to interview the roommate I would have paid. And he would.
This is Chad, right?
Chad. I wish I would have tried to get that. And then the ex-wife, that was off limits as well. But I would say, I mean, there's just a lot of things that Boogie's an artist. He's an emotional guy, and there's just certain expenses that he, like, for example, the first time I was filming, we were talking about a bed. Because we went and did this sleep study at this place, and they were went and looking at new nice beds. It was $3,000. The next time we come back, the dude bought the bed on credit, $140 a month. And he had logic to support it, and he's making $140 a month payments. But I just think it's not just Boogie. There's so many people that do stuff like this and make irrational, emotional spending decisions without backing it up with income. And it is unfortunate. It creates a lot of stress.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if you can afford a luxury purchase every once in a while, go for it, Like, life is short, enjoy some of it, But like, these guys that are making it's like when I see YouTubers, like some YouTubers I don't know that go to like California or something, they're paying like $10,000, $15,000 a month rent on mansions. And they're like splitting it up with people, and I'm like, who the f is, like, think about it like this: you guys are collectively burning $15K a month away just to live in like California. You don't even own the place. You just like take photos in it every once in a while for like a year or two, and then you're gone. It's
and people.
So what causes people to do this? Because like, do you think it's just bad parenting, or do you think it's clout hunger, like something like that?
In my view, it's a lack of being able to evaluate risk, and people overestimate the things that are currently occurring. Like, if you go from making 5 to 10K a month, well, that means I'm going to go to 15 to 20 just as easily as I went to 5 to 10. So they overestimate that. Plus, we live generally in a culture that like, you are, in many cases, depending on who you're socializing with, you're judged on your expenses, not necessarily your actual assets, right? So, like, it's cool to have a nice car, which is just, or a nice house. So I
some people just do it to maintain an image, right? Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Dude, see, for example, okay, this is going to be a random personal example. I was reading Harry Potter as a kid, okay? And in the beginning of one of the books, I don't know, the 6th or whatever, the Weasley family, this incredibly poor family, they win the lottery, okay? And they're all wearing, like, clothes that their grandparents have worn because they are so poor in this wizarding world. Somehow, God knows how they're so poor. I don't get it, but they were. And they win the lottery, they get tons of money. And what do they do with this lottery? They buy a massive vacation to Egypt. They all go to Egypt on a huge vacation. They burn the entire lottery winnings on that vacation. And I remember my mom telling me, it's like, you'd never do something like this. A poor family, they win the lottery, you build something, you invest something, you do something with it for things that you need to... Vacation? So
well, that's what he invested in this documentary, magic cards. There was an entire point in this documentary where you go out.
I get it, but that's what I'm trying to say. Is it like a lack of parenting that puts someone in a position like that? What? I can't even put my head in that mindset.
It's just a fucked up upbringing, is what it is, right? Like, you're right. There is a parenting thing to it. If I like spent my money on like Lamborghinis and mansions without having the fucking backup, without having like the funds to properly invest, my dad would slap the fucking shit out of me, But that's just because my dad is, you know what I mean? Like, I think anybody's like parent or close relative would probably do it. It's like, all right, listen, buddy, all right, you won the lottery. Let's not go fucking crazy. But another thing is like a severe lack of like understanding or intellect. Like I said, there was an entire segment here where he's paying off like his mortgage with like those magic cards. It's like the only sole investment that I think he has at this point. And
That's
it's just
wild.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think also with Boogie, he did straight up grow up broke. That's real, and he was used to being broke in his 20s and early 30s. So I would imagine if you're so used to not having money, when you get money, while at some degree there's an appreciation for it, also there's this kind of idea in your head where like, oh, if I don't have any money again, well, I've already been there and I'm used to that. Like, who cares? So I think that in some way he kind of wants to be. He's comfortable being broke, and in some way it does scratch some psychological part of him that he kind of likes being broke. He likes the ability to kind of have that.
Do you think he likes the victim mentality on YouTube? Like, I can be a victim, haha. Like, hey guys, please finance money or some shit.
I mean, in his defense, he got very popular in some way off of that. I mean, it was a hybrid of that plus Francis. So it was the juxtaposition of, oh, this guy is a victim. He's cute, fat, as we've discussed.
True.
And he also is funny. Those videos were hilarious back then. So when you have all three of those things, it's like cute look, like kind of a cute vibe, plus funny, plus he's a victim. So like, let's salt this guy up.
And to be fair, in his credit, he's still really funny. The part of your interview where he goes for a job, like to the staffing agency, he straight up mentions in the staffing agency, like, I used to work in. I'm like, dude, I almost caved my fucking skull into my entire body. Like, I could not imagine that in the middle of a staffing meeting, he's like, yeah, I worked in. I'm like, even the fucking interviewer's like, is that really something you should be mentioning?
Dude, so like I scheduled because like the first time I shot I scheduled all these different things we went and did. One of was like, hey, let's try to get you a job. We got a trainer, so that should be in an extended scene. He went and worked out. We got a new diet plan. We got a haircut and a makeover. And this, I will say this, Boogie is a purebred entertainer. Like, I went in with no direction to him on what, hey, we're going to go film this, we're going to do this. And this dude is like a kamikaze of just fucking with these people. And like, because I didn't tell them, none of these people knew who Boogie were. I arranged a date with him. This was before he had met this girl he's actually dating. And this dude just goes in, and I'm cringing so hard because he's just fucking with them. And they're trying to be in this documentary.
I have to watch this documentary. I can't believe you didn't tell me in advance. I would have watched it. I would come here knowing all this stuff.
Dude, it came out literally yesterday, bro.
Yeah.
It was fucking, this is like fresh off. But so like the thing is with his situation, like one of the biggest like shocking bombshells for me in this whole thing was the $200,000 in like escorts. And I don't want to beat around that bush. How the f did we come to the actual like number metric on this? Like, well, how did this even like happen?
That was, I mean, so that accounted for actually paying women, but all the travel, all the food, and it was over a period of total years, right? So I think that might have been a little buffered up because that was more of a generalized number. But we're looking at, hey, if he's going to a trip in LA to do certain things, he's also meeting a girl. It's like the overall expense, investment to that. I think at certain point he had put out publicly there was like 100,000, but just generally it was in the hundreds of thousands to women seeking arrangement type stuff.
Oh God, dude.
Gifts, stuff like that.
And that's so fucking wild because like he could easily have like paid off his fucking house with the $200,000. Like,
Oh
just,
yeah, I mean he could have done it with crypto. I mean it's and yeah, I mean when I was down there, you're trying not to get pulled into the emotion of it, right? Because you're like this guy, and like the checking account thing was the most scary, not scary, but just like concerning to me because I'm like, with this dude filming, he's genuinely got like $200. He's waiting on his YouTube check from the 1 million views he pulled a month ago or whatever, and you're just like, oh, we're also now going to in some Mexican restaurant to eat. I guess I'm paying, right? Because I feel bad.
Yeah.
Maybe him driving around and then like him getting food. So like there was that little scene where I got Taco Bell because I'm just like, yeah, I'm having you film. I don't think you should be buying this Taco Bell. I'll just get it. So
I mean, but it's just like it's such a it's such a situation to honestly witness with him because it's like there is really like no out of it. Like obviously he's dating this girl now who's like what 20. And from your documentary, it seemed very charitable because, like, they seem like they're in La La Land together. And honestly,
the first time we filmed, so he had we filmed and he was a single guy, right? Mm-hmm. I was trying to get him I got him on a date, so that's an extended scene that'll come out, I think, on his channel. I arranged a date for him, and but he had told me about this girl he was talking to at the time, and then he did the fight. We were just kind of seeing what was going to be in the documentary or not. And then he starts dating this girl, and then that's when we started filming again. So that's where, like, when halfway through, you kind of had this, like, financial aspect where it's like everything's fucked. And then there's just, like, kind of bittersweet, positive turn that's great for him, but it's also conflicting because you're questioning, is everything all right with this, right?
Yeah.
Also, the weird thing with the girl, she looks younger than she is. So while she's 20 or 21 or whatever, she looks like she could be 17, 18, 19, right? She has a very, very young look. So I think that like that probably adds to it. That it's like, okay, because there's so many comments like, how are you exploiting I mean, I think she is an adult. Like, there's women that do OnlyFans that are 20. It just has this vibe that maybe Boogie's exploiting. I didn't get that. I just think they are both kind of psychologically on the fringe and have just latched onto each other in this way that might work. It actually could work out, right? For them both in a unique way. So I went down very skeptical. I was like, all right, is this weird? Is this like a joke? But, all the time I spent with them as a couple, they seemed pretty genuine.
Yeah. It's just
honestly, I'm really happy to hear that. Like, I'm so happy to hear that.
It's like, I
do wish
Boogie
the best, even though I do think he's leading down a path of self-destruction. Like,
that's all you really can do. Like, part of my thing with Boogie, and like one of the things is like, and it's really just any YouTuber too, right? Like, I don't know how much I can like kind of discuss this. It would be a great topic for you to go forward into is like people like Tumat, for instance. People who just like constantly dig their fucking grave, like there's just nothing that you can do or you can say. And even if you try to say something, like even to like people like Boogie, it's just like they will constantly find a way to like disregard what you said, the advice that you're giving, and just consistently play victimhood. And at that point, like, I just get tired of it, Like, if you don't want to fucking change, then I don't really care about it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think with Boogie, it's tough because even when I first started interviewing him and whatever, he has a certain fixation on, like, winning back an audience, right? And using his content as a way to win back the audience, as if there's going to be something he could do or show or lose weight. And I just don't think that's how, you guys would know probably more than me. You've done YouTube for longer, but this is not really how YouTube works. You make content people want, you make quality content in a niche that serves a consumer need, and you build a fan base. I don't think, that like, even if he did lose a bunch of weight, it'd feel good, but does that really improve his content? And I think that he has a certain fixation on proving people wrong and winning back an audience that may not even be what people even care about, other than just like, are your videos good or are they not?
I think you're right. Right.
I mean, that's like probably the best analysis that anybody can do. And it really is one of those things where it's like you are looking at a situation where it is truly unwinnable in some cases when you look at it. And I think one of the best messages that was kind of offered was one of the people they interviewed where it's like, yeah, maybe you should just kind of like get a job or like go somewhere else. It's not okay to like completely stop something and then, you know, reposition yourself in life, right? People have to adjust all the time too, even professionally. Like I've had to change and do a billion other things because that's just how life fucking is, you know? And that's all that one can really say about Steven's situation in this moment too. It's like, hey, he can sit there and constantly try to fight YouTube and fight this unwinnable battle, because in reality it is unwinnable. Like the appeal for his channel, the reason for his success has always been like he came at a very early time, and now any content that he produces can be produced by anybody else in a much better, more personable fashion even too, right? Like that's really the crux of it. Like Francis was successful because what else did we have to watch on YouTube at the time but like fucking Fred or like, you know, a fucking shitty Call of Duty gameplay video.
And like it looked real, right? The back then you see this and like, this dude's so fat. This dude is like, the voice was realistic, like actually believable, and that it was well conducted. And then once that, now like he can't pretend to be that, and he changed the voice to make it
Dude
less
needs
like
to go
offensive.
full Peter Griffin. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think you should start wearing a white
Lean
button-down
pants.
shirt. You just
Dude,
make fart
honest
jokes.
to
Go,
God.
yeah.
Yo, listen, honest to God, no
Flowers.
joke. If his girlfriend dressed up as Lois and he
Dude,
dressed up as
that's
Peter,
what I'm saying. She dresses up as Lois, he dresses up as Peter, and he just is funny. And he tries to make good content where people are laughing at his jokes, not laughing at him.
yeah, like
I think that would be
literally
so
he
good.
could be IRL Family Guy. I'm surprised you didn't even do that as like a fucking Halloween costume. That would have been fucking hilarious, dude. But yeah, I mean, there's not much anybody can do with it. The part at the end of the documentary was the one that fucked with me the most. How did you even agree to doing the shrooms trip with him? Like I know you
So
didn't do shrooms.
We're down there. We had just filmed the job interview, the date, the dietitian, the makeup. I was trying all types of shit to just kind of see where this would go. And we're sitting there, and he had been getting Facebook messages from this shaman for years, and he just was like, "Hey, like, should we do this shaman? Like, this shaman's been hitting me for-
Wait. 1 second. Hold on. Wait, we're not just going to blow past this. He was talking to a shaman on Facebook for years?
Well, this shaman has been hitting him up. He lives in
And
Arkansas.
what's he been saying?
I think it was just some guy he was friends with, and like maybe they had a mutual friend or something. Like he was friends with on Facebook. It was like a Facebook friend. that he
Okay,
had.
it's not the Facebook that's throwing me here. It's the shaman part that's
Yeah, that's weird.
His name is
Wait.
his name is
Wait.
Flaming Star. He said he can cure AIDS, so he knows how to cure AIDS. So
Go!
this is breaking news.
Classic
this
shaman.
Is breaking news here on this
Shaman
podcast.
W, ladies and
We
gentlemen.
found the cure for AIDS, everyone.
Yeah, dude, shamans.
It's with Flaming Star in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So, Bill
my
Gates,
God.
you know, but
Yeah,
we
dude.
don't need Bill Gates anymore.
Yeah, get out of
Yeah.
here.
So the guy that has the cure for AIDS was
So
hitting up
Flaming
Bill
Star, and by the way, I have looked this guy up a little bit. I think there was some talks about him. I don't know if he's been to like prison or something, or has like been to jail or something like that too. I was like reading up, and it looked like a court situation. Weird guy to get involved with. Okay, so anyways, Boogie, also a convicted felon, right, is getting involved with drugs
Correct.
publicly. So
Two criminals, or one known criminal, one other potential criminal. By the way, and this is a little morbid, but the whole time we're filming, Flaming Star is like has serious, like overgrown cancers all throughout his stomach. Okay, and he's claiming that he's healing his own cancer through psychedelics. And I'm having to process this He's like, oh, I gotta sit down, my stomach. I'm like, should we? It's cancer. He's literally dying of cancer as we're filming. So we go to this remote place in the woods. We bring this generator out so we have some lights, and they just do it, and we just filmed it. Because it was kind of this like it was the part of the doc is called Last Ditch Effort, which was part 4, and that's kind of what it was. It was just like, well, none of these things we're filming are sticking. You know, the boxing match didn't turn into this like perfect ending in any way. Let's just do some psychedelics and see what happens. And I will say this: like, there was that moment where he did crack, and like whenever Boogie's on camera, he's in character. Like, even when you try to get him out of character, he's putting on a show. He's a natural broadcaster, entertainer. I will say this stuff with the psychedelics was kind of the first time there were moments that he cracked where he wasn't like presenting, right? And some of that didn't all make the cut, but he like pissed himself. Like, we have footage of him like peeing himself. Like,
I mean, you're going to do that on a psychedelic. It'll happen.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's all these other things, and it was like he was really just kind of like, you know, I
and
think
he was cool with you making this whole documentary.
Yeah, I mean, I told him from the beginning. I tried to set the expectations low. It's like, this will be by seeing a lot of people as a hit piece or even packaged as one, because if I don't package it as a hit piece, at least, like, it doesn't have any legitimacy, right? You kind of have to come into this.
You can't title it The Story of Boogie. You have to call it The Dark, Sad Life of Boogie. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, if during that 9 months, like things happened in the other, I would have titled it something else. But I genuinely came away from like, this is dark, this is sad, this is depressing, and you know. But yeah, the psychedelics. Yeah, Flaming Star. That was probably the most like. It was.
Did you do any shrooms?
I didn't do shrooms. That's not my thing. But yeah, I filmed, and I had my camera guy with me too. So.
Dude, you're such a legend. Look at this dude. He takes him out to the middle of the forest. He gets him high as a kite, and he's just sitting there.
Yes, sir. Content machine.
This is what I love about like in being like as brave in some cases. Like, I would never go out into the fucking woods in a million years with like Flaming Star. Like, goddamn, that is scary as shit.
Cancer belly. The hell's he gonna do?
When you were filming the scene and you were driving in the woods, I was just like, no. I'd be like, it's a bad idea. No, because that you disappear.
See, if he would have still at least been fat cute, then maybe. But
yeah, no. Listen, we all love fat cute guys, but the truth is that. The worst part was I didn't know this guy was dying of stomach cancer, and then when his stomach starts to hurt and he had to sit down, that's when I'm like, what the f*** is going on? Like, I'm in a random woods in like Fayetteville, Arkansas. Boogie2988 is tripping balls. This guy's dying of stomach cancer. He has the cure for AIDS, and I'm just running this corporate video company. I want to make a fucking documentary and some shit. So you know, at that point, I was like, all right, whatever. So I came home and then started editing, and then, you know, that's that. We did film with Dr. Todd Grande. He's got a good channel doing, like, psychological analysis, so that was a good one. And then this other YouTube guy in some business YouTube stuff. So we had some other good interviews.
What one thing that really wiles me out too is when you got to the point where he's doing the boxing match, he only got paid $10,000 for that fucking match.
Yeah,
no.
I mean that it sounds like there was some sponsorships and things, or at least that was maybe discussed. But yeah, in terms of what like the actual fees was $10K.
I cannot believe it. That doesn't sound right. This spectacle was massive. He for sure pulled more viewers than.
I just don't think he owned the ass. He didn't own the business, right? So he was paid that a fixed fee, and then I think whoever owned obviously is going to reap that upside.
And the one thing about that too is like he didn't even buy him a ticket to go to his own fight. Like, he had to pay for his own flights and hotels and everything. I don't know how standard that is for a boxing match, but it's like. Yeah. he came out of it literally like in the red, like according to it. So it's like I don't even understand.
In his defense, like, or in the defense of the owner of that business, it's like, all right, if Boogie and Wings set up an independent boxing match and streamed it, how many tickets is that going to sell? Who really had more benefit? I think it probably was equal. He just about broke even on getting out there, and I think the promo, his channel did bump up in views probably 20 to 50% in that period. So he probably made a little bit more on AdSense, and But ultimately,
it's just like adding an extra risk to your life, because I don't even know how that fight got sanctioned in the first place. It was the heaviest fight ever done in history, apparently.
I mean, Boogie's an entertainer. I think he would genuinely do almost anything for views, and I, in some way, that's a compliment. I mean, the guy. Looking back, I probably could have got him to do almost anything for this documentary, I do wish I interviewed Chad, but outside of that, I'm pretty happy with how it came out.
Do you think like after this you're like good friends with him now? Like you're gonna go back to Fayetteville and hang out with him?
I don't think I'd go hang out with. I'd talk to him on the phone here and there. I mean, that's a long flight to sit there. But I think he is, like, to me, it's fascinating to see where he goes and what he does. We have a lot more promotion of the doc to do.
I think you just described exactly why he let you do this documentary, because it's anything for views. And
I agree. Yeah,
we're talking about him. So
I was hitting people up with no YouTube channel, nothing, and like basically saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a doc and put it on my YouTube channel that doesn't even exist." So I am ultimately appreciative of Boogie for letting me do the film, and I only had like commercials to show people too. I had never made a documentary like this. This was actually my first project like this, so I'll always be appreciative of him. But I'm sure I'll stay in touch with him, and
How do you think about like the internet's perception of him, honestly, in the last few years? Like, do you think it matched up to how the internet portrays him as like this fucking fallen villain? Like I noticed in the documentary you were like, oh, here's the mega threat, here's everything, and honestly, that's a lot of like we've all read those things, we've all seen like the clips of Boogie, but how much is that like reflective of him now that you've become like more acquainted to him than really anybody else?
I think Boogie's genuinely a pretty nice and highly anxious individual. I think he has a lot of anxiety, and that anxiety causes him to come up with ideas or perceptions of things that are, irrational, and then sometimes act in alignment with that. I don't think he's definitely not as bad, and definitely not as good. He's neither as good as what we originally thought he was, and he's definitely not nearly as bad as... I think he's just a guy that, like, fucking plays video games and, like, makes a video every few days and has a lot of anxiety and says stupid things and comes up with good ideas sometimes, stupid ideas sometimes. He just happened to be really popular at a point, and that on a persona that is unsustainable for someone that has very little PR management abilities. He said so many dumb things that were out of character. If he was like a Howard Stern or a Trump type of figure that like was, known for being like edgy,
outlandish,
Also, the problem is he puts out like, oh well, I'm a big fan of Andy Kaufman or edgy comedy. It's like, well, you never got popular as that. That would be like if fucking Oprah Winfrey started being edgy lesbian comedy about like edgy shit. It's like, what are you talking about, Oprah? Like, give people cars. Like, we don't want you to make Hitler jokes, right?
I disagree. I think if Oprah started making Hitler jokes, that would be crazy.
It would be crazy, and she would lose all of her 40, 50-year-old women fans.
She wouldn't lose me. She wouldn't lose me.
With Boogie, it's like you can appreciate Andy Kaufman without going into that, and I think that also the other problem with Boogie is he's a big fan of the Andy Kaufman edgy humor, but his delivery wasn't as funny as it needed to be for them to be seen as jokes. He would say things that were like, "Oh, I'm joking," but like the delivery wasn't hilarious. So it's like, oh, well, this just seems like a mean statement. It's like,
So when Boogie made the landlord statement that Muda started arguing with him about, I really think that he meant it like as a half truth, half joke, but he just ended up coming off as landlord's evil.
I mean, part of it is just also my fault too, because I get pretty fucking autistic about this shit on the internet. If Boogie does that thing to me where, like, I don't know, he's just the one guy to twist my fucking buttons on the internet, just stupid shit all the time. It grinds it. Like, normally, and I think everyone at the show can agree that I'm a pretty fun-loving guy, but like, if you can just twist my fucking nipples the wrong way, I just cannot stand you, you know? And it's one of the reasons why, like, I mentioned even to Matt too, it's like, you know, just fucking his whole situation and, like, you know, behind the scenes stuff. It's like, even Caleb, everyone knocks, you guys know, like, there's a certain moment in time where, like, I can have, like, I can laugh around, but, like, when you are just completely immature, when you completely lack any form of, like, adult accountability at all, like any form of, like, adult mannerisms, it's just, it kills me. But I think that's true for anybody.
Component that's going on with the whole Boogie downfall is that there are so many of these, like, content commentary creators that emerged at a time where Boogie was really big, and maybe they were like 15 or 12 or 20, and by the time that they get a voice, we got the Sunny V2. I mean, Sunny V2 kind of built his whole, that was the first big video for him, and there's been so many other content creators that were probably 10, 15 when Boogie was, you know, in his prime. That's the guy they knew, so he was just like the guy was the de facto content takedown video that you would make when you started your channel, and that's, I think Sunny V2 is an example of that, and you have like probably 5, 6 other channels that have just mastered the anti-Boogie video that's going to pull you 1 million, 2 million views.
Yeah, but why is that? Why is that? How did Boogie get to the point that he that everyone likes making the takedown videos on him?
I mean, it's like if Mr. Rogers was an asshole. That would be the most interesting. There would be hundreds of videos about that. Like, oh, Mr. Rogers yelled at kids in private or something a few times.
Or like Bob Ross wasn't fucking chill the entire time, and he just
Bob Ross, you know, fucking like beating.
Yeah, you really think that's it?
You know?
It's like the irony of the facade being fake that draws people in.
Yeah, nobody.
I just think it's because you're doing a story about someone who really can't fight back.
If someone that's open and perceived as an asshole already does things that are similar to an asshole, nobody cares, right? It's the whole Trump effect, you know? Like, nobody cared when he paid off a hooker. If Hillary Clinton or somebody paid off a hooker, it's like, it's crazy. It's out of alignment with the persona you knew them as. So I think
Dude, I would love if Hillary Clinton paid off a hooker.
Bro, that would be the funniest shit in the world.
He paid me off. I am a former hooker. No,
Let's go.
I'm also a financial advisor. No, I'm kidding. But I think, I think it's all like, how did people already perceive that person, and is how they're acting in alignment with that or not. And I think that's why Boogie's fascinating, because, you know, he was this, we created this character of him, and, you know, he went live enough times to reveal that that's not what he's like all the time. And I can't blame him for that. I mean, if I was known as likable and you let me live stream for fucking 3 hours a day to 200,000 people or whatever, I'm going to say enough things that are not likable, and you're not going to like me anymore, right? So I think that's most people. But there are some people, maybe like the Markipliers, that are just, maybe they're a little bit more genuine to that likability, and they're just more psychologically sound, where they're going to not take that thought to say that crazy thing and just not say it, right? And I think that's Boogie. He is on the psychological fringe, and he doesn't have that filter to know when not to say that thing he thinks is funny.
So now that you've done one documentary, and it's going to be really early to tell, who do you think, do you think you'll ever cover any other YouTuber after this too, like, to this degree? Is there anybody else that interests you?
Yeah, I have a few other is in the works, and I wanted to get the Boogie out to kind of see what other names would
See
kind of
that,
come
dude?
from that.
You did exactly the same thing as everybody else that used Boogie as the stepping stone to launch their...
Oh, I'm exploiting Boogie for views, 100%.
Okay,
I
good.
mean, yeah, I told him that from day one. I am here to exploit him and use him and move the on, okay? So,
and he saw the spotlight and was all excited about it.
Yeah, I'll give him a documentary. Give me my fucking subs and views I can get from you, and let me fucking use you as a stepping stone. And that's exactly
it doesn't even feel like exploiting
nice.
at this point. It just feels like a symbiotic relationship for both parties.
Exactly.
Like
I think he wanted to be exploited. It was a fair exchange.
I mean, like, for him, it's just like, it's good attention. Like, for him, it's like any attention is good attention. I think for a lot of YouTubers in that boat, it's like, yeah, man, a lot of it also feeds off the ego, too. Like, I feel like for people like that, it's like, oh, somebody's making a documentary for me. That's so fucking cool and shit, right? That's one of the things that I think also feeds into it. Like, as much as, like, anybody would hate to say, oh, this guy made a takedown piece on me, there's part of you that jerks yourself off because you're like, oh, this guy spent, like, hours of his life making a video about me.
I'm important enough for you to, hate this badly.
Like if you email someone with narcissistic tendencies and say, I want to make a documentary on you, you're getting a response to that email, right? Like, almost, all the time. I think the thing was with YouTubers, like, it was just what I kind of felt could get views on the platform immediately. And also the problem is a lot of the YouTubers I talk to, like, their content's the most interesting thing about them, right? So there's not a documentary should be made. It's like there's nothing more to the story. They have a lot of subs and they are not that interesting. Boogie was one of those, like, there is layers to him, and there's some other projects I have that there are layers, and there's a lot I maybe explored that I pulled back on or just weren't a fit. There's also a lot where, like, you get into it and it's clear we're making two different projects. I'm making what I think will be entertaining to the consumer, and also a reflection of reality. They want a marketing video for their brand, and that's just not what I'm here to do. So, but yeah, there'll definitely be more. My goal is to be in a position to drop one every few months, and then have clips and different stuff in the interim. But we'll kind of see how this Boogie one does and see who else you can kind of document. And I have a lot of stuff I want to do that's just general topics that have nothing to do with YouTube, and so yeah.
Hell yeah. Sounds good. I really wish you the best of luck in growing your empire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the quality that you put out for this one documentary, I'm excited to see how you choose to go further. Do you think YouTube's a sustainable market for that, though? Like, in terms of making money out of it? No?
It's probably a dumb idea to spend this much money and put these on YouTube. But, I think documentaries are all tough to do. The alternative is to go to, like, festivals and try to sell it to, like, one of 5 streamers for some amount of money, and then it's harder to market because it doesn't have that built-in algorithm. So I think it's just going to be a long journey of, like, putting out great content, maybe online at first, and if it makes sense to move over to trying to sell assets to a streaming service, maybe that's something I do. But I'm just having a lot of fun. Like, I'm fortunate to have businesses and other things I do that make money and
subsidize basically this endeavor.
Yeah, this is super fun. Like, I've always wanted to do this. So.
Hobbies are great.
Yeah,
I think that's how every YouTube channel should start, right?
Yeah, I mean,
as some kind of hobby.
I think that's pretty much like how everyone else here, or at least still does it. It's like, this is a hobby, and it should be a hobby. It should be something that people do for the fun of it, right? Like, and I think that comes through, and that's really where the most successful channels are, right? Like, are the ones where you see the creator having fun doing what they do, right? Or like they get into that passion moment about it. Like, here, I'll give you guys a great example. I don't give a fucking shit about this Will Smith situation anymore at all. Like, I don't care about it, like, anymore. Because after that one slap, I didn't give a shit. I watched, Caleb, your video today on it before we filmed, where you were, like, looking into it. And it's like, for that brief, 10, 15, 20 minutes of my life, I gave a shit about something, right? Because the guy that was making the video was so passionately involved in the situation.
Reluctantly, albeit. Reluctant involvement.
But you had fun. But it's fun. you had fun covering it, and I think that carries over through. So it's like, of course, I'm going to sit there and be excited about like watching a video now. If like the person, like, if you made a video, like a 20-minute long video where you outlined this whole situation in the most monotone, dry, fucking like I don't give a shit attitude, I would have turned the video off, right? But it's like, oh, he's making a funny situation, like he's covering it. It's fine. It's cool. Like that's the kind of shit that I like to see, and that's where I think the most successful channels
I love
are.
both of your videos, Muda, Caleb, and it's because of you guys. Like for example, every time I watch like one of your Xbox hacks things, I don't give a crap about any of that, but I like you, so I'll watch your stuff. And same with Caleb's infinite Sniper Wolf content. So you know, stuff
dude,
like
that is my favorite. I think your next documentary should be fucking Sniper Wolf.
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
She is like,
Yeah, she'll
down.
answer. She'll answer. Yo, track her down, find her address, take a picture, put it on
Do we have
Instagram,
an
and say,
email?
"Hey,
You
just
guys
want to
got an
talk."
email?
Dude, you don't even need an email. Do you know about the Sniper Wolf situation at all?
Well, Boogie made a doc, or what that was he made a video on that. So, and I had seen some stuff pop up in my feed, but it sounds like she was just basically stealing content and this other guy, and then she docks this dude. So, hey, if she will make one, I will 100% go film with. I would do that. That seems relevant.
Her story might be one of the wildest ones on YouTube. Her court situation is some of the most insane shit that I've ever fucking seen, man.
It's
like,
glorious.
Like,
But I actually wanted to tell you, mention something on the Boogie thing before we started. You mentioned to Mike, I don't know how the video wasn't taken down because of what? Because of nudity? Like there was one scene.
oh
in
yeah,
there
there's a straight up scene with Boogie and his like girlfriend in a tub, and basically fucking, okay. Like let's just be honest here, like attempting to.
Yeah,
it
they
was
were making out. There was a little side butt, you know, but it, I hope it like stays fine. I don't know.
So you mentioned that, and I saw a video this week on YouTube that I didn't know existed that I also thought is a little wild and violation of some sort of sexual gratification policies. Are you familiar with the most viewed video on Sniper Wolf's channel?
no. No.
Go, don't do it on. Share the screen. Go to her channel and just open up
Caleb,
her
you
most
wanna
popular
share the
videos.
screen?
I can't on my thing.
For her most viewed video.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm almost scared about this.
You
Considering
should be.
I'm actually really fucking worried because last time I looked at her most questionable videos, I felt like the feds would show up to my house. Not even a joke.
I could not believe it when I saw this.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what is it
Popular.
about this one?
That's not
Touch
sharing.
my body challenge.
Yes. So that video, that entire video, and I actually watched it recently, is the boyfriend basically, well, fulfilling the title.
Just touching her?
Yeah. And in the middle, he really goes,
Body parts. Close your eyes.
What the
dude, it's the whole video.
Is that boobs?
No.
Is that boobs?
dude, dude,
you
that would have been
believe this?
that would have been fucking taken down. What the?
So I don't understand how that is not taken off YouTube, but all of us get these weird age restrictions on stuff. Anyway,
I mean, it happened like that. That's why that's one of the reasons why. Like I even said to like you, Mike. I'm like, dude, that is like when I saw that. And you, by the way, I'm gonna say it for the record. Like as an editor and dude, you kept that shot running way too fucking long. That shot should have been like maybe a second maximum. But like when I saw it, I was like, all right, this is definitely getting fucking squad wiped if it stays on longer than it has to. But
Yeah.
I was actually surprised they were comfortable with that too. It's like. You know, like, I swear, watching your whole documentary, I thought that they would probably, like, when you got to the point where they were talking about how they didn't have any money to do anything for it, I was like, please, every holy being in the universe, do not tell me the next scene is them attempting OnlyFans or pornography or anything. I'm like, please, God. Like,
I could see that coming. I would not be
could
shocked.
so see
I
that
would not
coming.
be shocked.
oh.
I also could see that lining up in the next month, like as a component of this. Like, you know, they sort of joked about it because I think Boogie has kind of this like joke OnlyFans. That's like, oh, I'm making OnlyFans. It's just like pictures of him and shit. But
Sorry.
yeah.
I mean, it always starts as a fucking joke, right? It's like, yeah, I'm just fucking around with you guys. Oh, wait, this is successful. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, would you subscribe to a Boogie and Dez OnlyFans?
No.
No.
Listen, man, I have
I don't
subbed to
know,
a
guys.
Nick.
mean-
I have subbed to a Nikocado only fan, but
Yeah.
there are limitations to my degeneracy on the internet.
No, dude,
I just
see. I'll just wait for the inevitable YouTube video. You know, I subscribe to Boogie's OnlyFans, so you don't have to. I'll just wait for someone to make that video, and then I'll enjoy it from a third-party perspective.
yeah, I feel like my wife would leave me if she saw that on my bank account statements. Like fucking, like if Jen saw that on my fucking bank account fucking statements that I gave OnlyFans to him, she'd be like, "Really? Out of all people in the world?" So I don't know that like that. That is going to be a tough
It was
sell.
a business expense, babe. Don't worry.
Yeah, you know what the thing is
That'll
though.
work.
If like he makes an OnlyFans, it'll be the most successful OnlyFans out there. Because I swear to God, that whole site is built around the weirdest fetishes imaginable, dude. Like that.
Yeah, but now
whole
he's not
site.
cute fat anymore, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That is true. That is wild. But you know, I gotta say, impressive documentary work on there. I really want to see more from you going into forward. And I know from like my own personal like work on any of this kind of stuff is coming up with the finale to this was tough. I saw a few people on the internet who were like, the ending just happened haphazardly. I'm like, dude, trust me, when you're dealing with hundreds of hours of footage, the ending, that is probably the best you can cobble up. That psychedelic ending. And I do like that you left it open-ended in the sense that like it's somewhat uplifting. Maybe it leads to like him making some serious changes, but it is the best you could do. And I felt that you were ready to tap out 10 minutes into it, like especially at the end of like or just like before part 1. And the fact that you finished it and it came out like this, very impressive work. And you know, I can't you know, say anything beyond that. Good work. Good documentary.
I appreciate that, man. I gotta ask you guys, if I were to make a doc on anybody, who would each one of you want to see?
Too mad.
Who?
Yeah, I would say
Whoa.
too
Too
mad.
mad. Too mad.
How do you spell that?
TWOMAD, one word.
Oh my god. You were ready on the trigger.
Dude, when you asked me that question, I felt like this was Red Dead 2. Like I was ready to draw the
what-
revolver.
What about this guy needs a documentary?
Caleb, can you kind of like prep us for this? You've made the
A
videos.
really roundabout sort of generalization would be, he's like an internet troll. He's been trolling for a long time, and he got into like trolling and Zoom bombing, just fucking with people. He's completely irreverent. Like that's his main thing. He's never had a sincere thought, other than the time that he clowned on Hassan. There was one time he clowned on Hassan Abi on Twitter, which was pretty interesting. But
Peak too mad. Peak
yeah,
too
peak
mad.
too mad. Dude has always just kind of appeared as a very intelligent, but also irreverent to a fault type of character. So it's hard to like treat him as a real person. And a couple months ago, there was a bunch of like allegations, sexual assault type stuff. They came out against him. One girl, I think. And I forget exactly the whole story like in that, but it's been really bad. And he had this terrible fall off, and he still just tweets every day. There's a lawsuit. One of the people that he hates on YouTube a long time ago, this guy named Jameski, is backing the girl, and helping her sue him.
I didn't know that.
And
Oh my God.
yeah, and like delivering this big fat fucking lawsuit, and now there's more lawsuits, and he just doesn't
Take it seriously.
he doesn't take it seriously. He's completely irreverent
Yeah.
still, and it makes him look like a fucking fool online. And like, I don't know, it's really weird. It's
Like
weird.
like you want to talk about a situation with like Boogie where you were like, this guy had everything and now he lost it all. This is a live situation of that entirely, and it's actually an arguably a bigger scale because Too Mad, without no joke, he was a very influential creator at his peak, right? Like he could upload a video about anything and, you know, trend, do whatever. He was one of the most powerful driving forces on the internet for a brief period in time. And had he just stuck doing that, I think he could have one of the best careers still to this day. He does not treat his lawsuit seriously. Like if you're getting at some moment in time
He
when you have
treats
a
it so
sexual assault,
unseriously, for example, that when I saw all this coming out, I thought he was literally staging all of it for a video. I really thought he was. there's still like a part of me that's thinking, could this be somehow fake? But it's obviously not.
No, it's
That's how outlandish
yeah.
it looks from the outside.
And the thing about it is like he's a guy that's very much in denial. Like if you talk to him about it, he's in denial. You can, and this is where like it comes, like this is where my personal belief is, like if I give you advice, you know, I don't expect you to take it, but like if you're gonna come out later and then just tell me, or like, you know, basically disregard anything that I say and immediately believe you're right, then I'm just, at that moment in time, I stop giving a shit, right? And that's one of the things that if you're gonna make a documentary on a guy like this, you can look right into it. And that's, you know, he's just one of those guys where he'll never change off. Huh? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I will 100% email this guy.
Yeah, you should.
If it goes through, we can reference this. We'll premiere it. We'll premiere
My man,
it.
if you do it, I would love to come down and fucking
I will
do
interview
something with you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he could probably we could probably link you up with him. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
If you
Oh, yeah,
could,
100%.
listen, hey, this is content on demand. I will make it. I appreciate
Yeah,
you guys letting me come on
100%.
This was
I'm
super
just gonna-
fun, and
Yeah, I gotta head out. I just had like a thing pop up actually right now. Somebody just, that's why I was like looking to the side there real quick. But again, I want to thank you, Mike, for coming on
Yeah, man.
and, you know,
this was
taking your time to
super
talk
fun.
about it.
And I
Yeah,
appreciate
Nice to meet
having
you.
me on.
And honestly, it's so nice to see someone just making a massive video, huge
done 5
undertaking,
minutes.
just purely because they love what they're doing.
Yeah, it was a lot of work but it's super fun, and I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully we'll make some more documentaries and keep going.
Hell
Cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the podcast. Make sure to check out Mike Clum's YouTube channel. We'll have it linked in the description below. Check out Nox Taco. Check out Caleb, also known as Oompaville. And make sure you buy some Sour Boys. By the way, I just want to straight up say for the record, Caleb, your shipment came in to my house. And can I just say right now, this shit is like crack cocaine.
is that
This
my
candy.
flavor?
Yes, it is the mango slap, I believe. I
Sunshine
ripped
slap.
the top off. I ripped the top off just because I wanted to get into it. I fucking love this flavor. So yeah, check out Sour Boys Candy. And our boy's killing it. And you know, if you ever run out of content, my channel's always available. Some Ordinary Gamers. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is us, and we're out.
Cool.